This show contains spoilers and adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
Movies with Ron, movies with Ron.
Hell yeah, motherfucker.
Movies with Ron.
All right, the top flying ace for the United States during World War II.
Yeah?
His name was Dick Bong.
Wow.
And he shot down 40 Japanese aircrafts.
Wow.
Reading about this, I learned the term ace, it's like a real term, like it commands respect when you're a pilot.
Right.
Lots of jokes about him on the internet and his name.
Uh-huh.
He's from Wisconsin. There's a recreational park named after him where every teenager goes to smoke pot for the first time.
Yeah.
The Dick Bong Recreational Park, or as the teenagers say, his parents named him Richard Waterpipe. He was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, 7 Distinguished Flying Crosses, 15 Air Medals, and, of course, the Medal of Honor.
Wow.
Yeah.
He reached the rank of Major before he sadly passed away in a flight accident on his home turf.
Mm-hmm.
This episode is for him and the 40 Japanese pilots that died as a result of taking a major bong hit. Welcome to episode 97 of Movies with Ron, the podcast where my older brother recaps a movie he saw from beginning to end, for me and you, because we like his versions better. It's okay if you've seen the movie. It's okay if you haven't seen it. The experience is unique. So let's get it on. I'm Chris, your MC for the time being. Here with me tonight, Nurse Candy.
Hey, guys.
And here he is, folks.
He's the ball cracker, death on foot. You know him, you love him. He's Ron.
Ron.
Yes.
Hey, Ron.
Hey.
Adam Driver was in the Steven Spielberg movie Lincoln.
Wow. All right.
So fuck you.
Okay. Good catch.
Let's give a shout out.
I am Peppy Leweppy.
What's that from?
You don't even know
What's
what
the
that's
rest of it? I can't remember.
I kicked the ball. Kindergarten cop. His partner, the woman, she got sick, so she couldn't be the kindergarten teacher.
Right.
He goes to the hotel room where she's like sick and dying, and her boyfriend is coming to visit her, and he's a chef, and he just cooked her spaghetti.
Oh, yeah.
But in real life, he was a stand-up comic, and that was his HBO special,
I
and it was
remember.
the greatest stand-up special
Oh, yeah.
in the history of
Yeah.
ever.
He juggled babushkas.
Yeah, the babushka.
His last name was Nelson.
Kindergarten Cop was his big break.
Yeah.
He was like wearing her robe.
Yes.
Her pink robe.
It's like all fluffy.
Yeah. He made it work, though. He was like, fuck you, Arnold.
Yeah.
I'm fucking this sick woman.
He like had dialogue with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, man. Yes, shout out to one of our younger listeners, Akira Rogers.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Akira. Let's hope she loves Waxwork.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, a classic.
I'm sure she'll love it. As much as we love her. Thanks for listening, Akira.
Waxwork came out in 1988. I was 4 years old, and I think I saw this movie when I was 4 years old.
Oh, no.
It was part of you two fuckers indoctrinating me in the school of horror.
Yeah. Sit down.
And look at how far you've come, really.
Yeah, I think kids these days, everyone has their own TV and their own screen. So, like, no one gets exposed to the older siblings' interests anymore.
Right.
Oh, that's true.
Absolutely.
When back in the day, it was like, you guys monopolized the only TV in the house.
Well,
We knew it was good. What can I say? Man, I loved this movie when I was a kid.
oh, I know.
Oh, it was a favorite.
It was my first David Warner movie. And I've never forgotten him.
Yeah, man.
David Warner.
The one and only.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
He was like the big bad guy from Tron.
yeah, if it weren't for
yeah.
Dick Bong, this episode would be dedicated to him.
Hell yeah.
David Warner. I can't say anything modern he's been in. so the younger kids aren't going to know.
Yeah.
He was Billy Zane's second in command in Titanic.
Yeah.
I think that was as famous as he ever got.
Right.
But David Warner has been in countless movies.
Yeah, he was in The Omen, I think.
Yeah.
He was in a movie about the time machine.
Time After Time.
Was that it?
Yeah, with Malcolm McDowell.
That's it. Yeah. He played Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was a good one.
He's amazing.
Dude, totally. Let's, I've got all these notes about everyone else, but let's just talk about him.
He's particularly interesting to watch in this movie. Like, he was definitely the high star power at the time.
Yeah, he kind of shared the billing with Zach Galligan,
Yeah.
who's also in this movie.
He was the star power back in 1988. I'm sad to say.
Yeah, but David Warner was like the old famous, you know?
Yes. Yes. He was the real talent.
What do we know Zach Galligan from?
4 years before this movie, he was the lead in Gremlins.
There you go. I'm looking at pictures of these kids in this movie. Zach Galligan, he's not quite like the every kid.
No.
Like, you can't relate to him. I mean, he's the hero, and I give him credit, but he's one of those kids. They've got him going to high school wearing blazers.
Well, he's in college.
Yeah.
So
Is it college?
It's college.
All right.
He's also a rich kid.
He is.
I'm still pressing the blazer issue. I mean, like, you had the kids from Weird Science wearing blazers, and I don't know. I wasn't old enough. Candy, did the cool kids wear blazers?
Yes.
With
Yeah.
no
the,
ties.
The jackets
right?
were a big thing
Yeah.
with no ties or skinny ties.
Man, we're like savages now.
I know. Like, I want to wear a jacket sometimes. But people go like,
Where are you
whoa.
Why
are you so dressed up?
going? That's right.
I'm getting divorced today.
I wore one over a hoodie once, and that was the last time I wore one casually. Also starring Deborah Foreman.
Oh, she is adorable.
Really?
She's so cute.
Oh man, I didn't think anyone would recognize her.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
her name. I looked her up. She's not in much.
She was in My Chauffeur back in the 80s. I remember that when I was a little girl.
In the 90s, I noticed this. She was in a short-lived TV series called The Marshal.
Yeah?
You want to know who played the Marshal?
Who?
Jeff Fahey.
Oh.
There's only like 1 or 2 seasons of The Marshal. Early 90s. It's got like an 8.5 on IMDb.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to binge The Marshal now. I have to find this show.
Yeah. Man, Jeff Fahey.
Yeah, yeah. We got to do body parts one of these days.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Michelle Johnson as China.
Yeah, she was from Blame It on Rio.
Oh.
Yeah. Dana Ashbrook. I guess he plays Tony.
Yeah,
People will recognize him from Twin Peaks.
absolutely.
Oh.
He played the asshole jock in the 80s version of Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
But you know, Showtime resurrected the show, right? And got like most of the original cast.
Oh.
And like they updated it where Dana Ashbrook is the sheriff of Twin Peaks now. And like, I don't know. It's just, I love the history.
Oregon.
I'm saying all the names of these actors, but it's because they're part of such memorable sequences in this film.
Yeah, man.
We can't forget, and Ron, correct me if I'm saying this wrong, Mihaly?
You were saying it wrong. At 2 feet 9 inches tall, his name is Mihai Mishu Mizaros.
There you go.
His stage name in Barnum Bailey's Ringling Brothers Circus was the Mighty Mishu. You might also remember him from Big Top Pee-wee.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. He passed away in 2016.
Yep.
No way.
Oh, yeah. He lived a full life.
He's the cutest old man you ever seen.
I know.
God bless him. Also, I don't know if it matters, but gotta give a shout out to Patrick McNee.
Yeah, man.
He plays the old wise man of the film.
Sir Wilfrid.
Oh, yes.
He was in the original Avengers TV series.
They made a TV series about the Avengers?
Waxwork, written and directed by Anthony Hickox. Ron, you know anything about him? He's British.
I think he started out as a club promoter.
Yeah, in London. He directed the sequel, Waxwork 2.
Lost in Time.
Directed Hellraiser 3.
That's right.
Whoa.
And Warlock. Oh. Yeah, Julian Sands movie.
We are doing Warlock.
Yes.
Oh, yes. We're also doing another. We should just do his whole catalog. He's got another one starring Bruce Campbell. It's called Sundown.
Yeah?
And it's Bruce Campbell fighting vampires.
Sweet.
Yeah.
How did I miss
I,
this?
I don't know. It was a direct-to-video. It's just, check it out. So Anthony Hickox is in London. And he's like, I want to be a filmmaker. So he's promoting a special night at a nightclub. And all the proceeds he uses to make a short film. His boss in London's like, man, go to Hollywood. Don't come back until you're famous.
Yeah.
So he goes, right? He's staying in a hotel.
Took his brother with him.
Yeah.
Like you're going to do for me someday.
He gets in a bad car accident.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Can you imagine? It's your dream. You go to L.A. You don't know where to go. It's a scary place. You get in a friggin' car wreck.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
They both get out of the car. The guy he crashed into was a producer.
No. Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
He explains to him his dreams. You know? They look at
Right
their
there on the scene.
Yes. They think about their predicament. The producer agrees to cover all the damages if Anthony Hickox writes him a script.
Wow.
This is like a fairy tale Hollywood story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? After a weekend, he gives him Waxwork.
Oh.
That's what this movie came from.
Holy
Sweet.
crap.
You can tell some of the dialogue was slammed out in a weekend. But it's okay.
Now, there were some gems in that script. You've got to tame that filly. It's like that's a good line.
What the hell's she talking about?
Well, I imagine that since she found out we were doing Waxwork, she has not been able to stop thinking about J. Kenneth Campbell as the Marquis de Sade.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was absolutely in love with him when we were kids. And 1 year later, he played, the captain of the bridge on the ship up above the abyss.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, eating a tuna sandwich. It's like 1 year later.
Yeah.
I know, he played nothing but military guys after that.
Yeah,
Lost all of his sex appeal.
those are the characters he was born to play. And his performance as the Marquis de Sade is an absolute diamond.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
I love it. Waxwork is Ready Player One for classic horror fans.
Sure.
The short anthology sequences are better than any of the stories they're based on.
Yes.
And it manages to be kind of an anthology type of movie, but it's still one cohesive story.
Yeah, man.
And that's its specialty. I don't know. Waxwork will live on. I've shown it to modern audiences, groups of people hanging out. Put on Waxwork. It never fails. As cheesy as it is, never fails.
Really?
Yeah.
In truth, it is a little cheesier than I originally remember it. But, so are all the movies I love. Crow. You mentioned Hellraiser. This movie has another connection to Hellraiser. Special effects guru Bob Keane,
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
That's right.
who also worked on The Unholy,
Ah.
which was also soundtracked and composed by the same guy who did the soundtrack for this film.
Oh.
Damn.
And we'll get into that later, because I like it.
All right, everyone. Put on your blazers, because we're having a private showing tonight at midnight. You can bring a few select friends, but no more than 6. We'll see you at the Waxwork on Movies with Ron.
It's showtime. Get the people out! Come on! Get the people out!
So we start off with that song, Sing, 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 the old sing song. Benny Goodman.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go.
Swing music, very dangerous. And while that's playing, it's a dark and stormy night. And we are in front of a really nice mansion. Thunder and lightning. And we hear inside, some guy is getting the living shit kicked out of him. I was watching this and I was like, you know what? That song should be playing every time somebody's getting the shit kicked out of them. Now we're inside the mansion and the guy is now having his head pushed into a blazing fireplace.
Oh, God.
And it's like, man, whose dad did you rape? Anyway, he's down. He's like, he gives up the ghost and is now just laying on the floor with his head in the fireplace. And the guy who did it is pulling the old smash and grab on a bunch of shit the guy had in glass cases. You know, like he's got a little private museum. Uh-huh. So he's stealing all of his stuff, and then the dad rapist just gets up and he starts writhing around on fire, and he's The thief is still thieving. Doesn't worry about it. He's putting all the stuff in a bag, right? Then the guy actually dies from the condition of having a flaming head. And he falls back down with his head in the fireplace again. And remember, and then the thief leaves, and now we get spooky horror music. And it is music fit for opening credits.
Oh, yeah.
I love the credits.
The title of the movie shows up, and it appears like in the same way that they go through the portals in this movie, makes it sounds kind of a wet, like, and it just says, Waxwork. And then the best part, it melts away. Now we cut to the same mansion 40 years later in the daytime. We are in the dining room, and there is a painting of the dad rapist on the wall. And there at the table is our dear friend Zach Galligan eating breakfast with his rich mother. Darling. I hear you were having sex with the butler the other night. Now you know that sort of thing leads to anarchy. Mom, one has to keep the distance between them and us. They're all human beings. Servants. Oh, isn't it terrible, darling? 2 more people have disappeared. Were they us's or them's? Don't be a shit. Now drink your milk. You're late for college. Mom, when are you going to let me have some coffee in the morning? When you're a big boy. But Mom, I need the caffeine. Badly. There's a caliber of writing. Run along, darling.
Hey! I love you! What? Nothing!
So he leaves, and the butler is waiting for him at the front door. Your books, Master Frigmore? Ah, thank you, Jerkins. And your caffeine, sir. And then Zach takes this coffee cup and he chugs it like a douchebag. And your nicotine? He lights a cigarette for him. Will you be wanting your wheels today, sir? Not today, Jenkins. And he's like puffing smoke. I need the fresh air. Then they share a kiss and a quick nuzzle that smells like Old Spice and bologna. And Zach leaves. Now we cut to 2 girls walking to college. You know, like you walk to college every morning.
Totally.
We have Sarah, who is the quiet, brown-haired, straight-laced, behaved type. Mm-hmm. And then China, the blonde, entitled, unbehaved type. Sarah's like, I saw a movie with Zach last night. He still likes you. Zach? Oh, I don't give a shit. The guy's a slob. He couldn't even spell lady, let alone treat me like one. You know, last time we went out, he actually made me pay for a drink. You? I know. What I need is an older man with style and class. Someone who knows how to treat a lady.
Tell her she's a goddamn whore.
Like a businessman or a lawyer or a doctor. So why are you dating Jonathan? Dating? Grow up, Sarah. One night of fun. Jonathan may not have class, but he has something Zach doesn't. What's that? A dick. I mean, we're talking major Polish sausage. What's that? Then they come upon a creepy brick house and they stop. It is a house, okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah. In a suburban neighborhood, and there's a sign over the front door that says, Waxwork. I've never seen that before. Yeah, weird place for a waxwork. Maybe they don't like customers. Then they turn around, and out of nowhere, David Warner is standing right next to them, dressed like the Jack Nicholson Joker. I'm not kidding. Look it up. It is ridiculous. I'm sorry, ladies. Did I startle you? Heart attack, maybe. Startle now. I see you're interested in my waxworks, yes? We have an entire wing of sad, half-melted penises. Yeah, weird place to have one on a street like this. David Warner looks around and he's like, really? Why? Well, the customers, they're not... And then he looks them up and down like, tits. We gotta go to class. Sorry, nice to meet you, mister. And then he just goes, mister? Like, I love him. So Sarah, who is freaked out, is pulling away China, who is quite intrigued and like staring this old man down. Remember, she was just talking about needing an older man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm having a private showing tonight at midnight. Good time. After dinner, but before breakfast. You can bring some friends, of course. No more than 6, though. Otherwise, I'm afraid we might be a bit full. Oh, you're expecting a crowd. Like I said, no more than 6. So Sarah just pulls China away. We have got to go. I'll see you at midnight then. And then they turn around, and he's gone.
Nice. That's how you do it. That's how you get the ladies. You disappear when they turn around.
Now we cut to Zach sneaking into class, and the professor is down there lecturing. Und then Hitler attacked the Soviet Union and the 3 Baltic states simultaneously. He has a big Nazi flag hanging like right next to him, and he's got all this stuff written on the blackboard. One thing is the word fascism, and it is misspelled. He is obviously passionate about Nazis. Und the Nazi Blitzkrieg. Good afternoon, Herr Frigmore. You obviously know all about the Lithuanian struggle. Otherwise, you would have attended the first 15 minutes of the lecture. Yeah? Yes, sir. Good. Tomorrow, I want a 20-page essay on the subject. Now sit down. Thank you, sir. Yeah. He goes and he sits with Sarah, China, and their friend Tony. He leans over to China and he says, thanks for the phone call I never received last night. China says, my memory must be going. I don't remember Jonathan letting me use his phone. And Tony's like, oh, that's gotta hurt. This is a thing in the movie. That's gotta hurt. Zach is just like, you went out with Jonathan last night? What are you, crazy? And Mr. Frigmore, I nearly forgot. I also want a 40-page essay on the trouble with dictators. As we all know, dictators is a regional dish from the Carpathians consisting of wild black wolf penis and baby potatoes. A favorite on cold nights. Dictators.
Fucking dictators. You're on a whole nother plane now than you've ever been with that one.
I was like... Now we cut to the football field. Sarah, Zach, and Tony are hanging out on the bleachers like no one ever does, but they always do in movies. Zach is pissed. China went out with that monster Jonathan. Tony's like, forget her, Zach. She's a bitch. Hey, she's my friend. Now we see China and Jonathan down on the football field, and they're all flirting. He's a football player. Okay, he's a jock. Oh. He's got his shirt off. He is a bare-chested Adonis. He's a real hero of the beach. China comes back and sits down with him, and she's like talking about oiling up Jonathan's dong last night. Zach's like, China, give it a rest, would ya? Jeez, can't even take a joke. Tony says, save it for the powder room, babe. This man is in pain. Like, he just got dumped, and they're all, like, still hanging.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. I think that's normal.
I think so, too.
Yeah, I
but
think I'm the freak.
I'm not okay with it.
I don't just hang out with my exes.
Well, we said we'd be friends. That way we're free to, like, ruin each other's lives later. Jonathan yells out, hey, babe, we gonna catch a flick tonight? Get it on in the back row, you know? I don't know, Tiger. I'm kind of tired. Yeah, me too after last night. Hey, Zach, you want to go play catch? Or are you incapable of doing that as well? And it's like, damn, dude.
Fucking seriously.
Zach stands up. Tony's like, don't do it, Superman. You've only got one life, man. Another couple walks up. This is James and Gemma. They're more friends of theirs, but they're kind of meaningless.
The real heroes of this film.
What?
I don't know. They're the ones that seem like normal people.
Yeah, they're the lucky ones, as you'll see later. They're all sitting there talking, and while that's happening, we actually see Jonathan starting football practice, and it's like, ready, set, hut! And he gets totally taken down and sacked by some big black dude. Like Big Tough Jonathan. It's very easy to miss if you're not paying attention. So what's happening tonight, you guys? Tony's like, nothing. I gave up drinking. And it's like, what the fuck? You're like 19. Who has a drinking problem at 19?
Yeah. Hey, where's Rick?
Not here. China says, well, Sarah and I were invited to a late-night Waxwork show by the handsomest gentleman. No kidding. We can bring a few friends. How about you, Tony? Yeah, hey, come on, Zach. Ah, hell, why not? I'll get the maid to write the essays. Yeah, all right. High-fiving and shit.
Fucking 40 pages.
I know.
It's actually 60 pages.
Yeah.
The very last shot of the scene is Jonathan on the football field punching out the guy who sacked him.
What?
Yeah, just punches him out. Pretty sure this was the only black guy in the movie.
Fucking Jonathan.
So, you know. So now it cuts to later that night, and everybody's all dressed up in blazers and dresses.
All right.
And they're waiting to go. They're in somebody's living room or something. Zach's like, anybody want another drink? It's 11:45. Let's go. What's the rush, babe? You got a date with Jonathan after the show? And then China, like real sultry, she goes like, can a girl get laid around here without being burned at the stake? And then Zach's like, anybody got a match? And he's got an unlit cigarette out of his mouth, but China, she don't like that. She turns and she's like, daggers, okay? And she goes, I do what I want, when I want. Dig it or fuck off. She gets up and walks out, and he follows her. Everybody yells out, oh, that's gotta hurt. Zach finds her in the hallway. We need to talk. About what? Us. Us is over. You had your chance. You blew it. I need it taken care of. Not, hey, how about a handy after class, babe? I'm looking for more in a man. A little je ne sais quoi. What does that mean, Candy?
I can't remember.
Ooh.
Isn't it a song?
No.
Eh, no, ne sais quoi. Ce soir.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? A little what? And then China goes, ha, see? You don't even speak French. And it's like, what the hell? And then Zach just goes, I'm sorry, I'm not that good at languages. Now, what the hell, man? So we cut to them walking to the scary waxwork, and it looks really spooky, okay? Tony's like, never fear, Tony is here. Ladies first. Zach's like, guys, could we hurry this up? I'm a little worried about my maid's knowledge of Lithuania, okay? Well, why don't you lead then? Okay, Toots. I will. He goes into the yard. They follow him. Hey, safety in numbers, man. Safety in numbers. He walks up to the door, and now they are all frozen in the yard like they're too scared to walk in. James and Gemma. Remember them? Gemma's like, James, I want to go home. James is like, what? It was your idea to come. Sorry, guys. And they leave. They go home, and James gets laid. Later on, he gets a job at his dad's tire, outfit.
Yeah. The muffler plant.
Yeah. And they do fine.
The real heroes of the story.
The lucky ones.
That's right.
Zach's like, anyone else not coming? We're right behind you, buddy. And then the door creaks open by itself. Tony actually just drops the cigarette right out of his mouth. Camera pans down, and there is a tuxedo dwarf standing there. Welcome to the Vaxvork! Mihai Mazaros equals freaking awesome. He is utterly hypnotic to watch in this movie. They walk in, and China kind of avoids him like he's germ-ridden and gross. As he's closing the door, he looks out and he goes, "We were expecting more." So they walk into like kind of the waiting room there. Tony lights up because this is the days when you could smoke anywhere. Like seriously, like even in the supermarket.
Oh, yeah.
"Please sit down. Make yourself comfortable. A drink for anyone?" Everybody is like way too awkward to answer. And then a door opens up and freaking Lurch walks in. Okay. And he's got like a tray of booze. And
Who is Lurch?
the big, tall, scary butler from the Addams Family.
All right.
And then Mihai starts like hitting him in the legs. Mihai's only, under 3 feet tall. Okay. He's like, "You're supposed to wait until I ring the bell. Get out. Get out." And that guy just like, ooh, leaves. Like Mihai, he is an absolute treasure. Okay. He walks back to the group and he bows so fast that they put a sound effect in that goes, wow.
I know, it's very confusing in the movie.
"We have sad penises." Well, enjoy the show. Zach and Tony, they're like talking shit together about how nobody else is there. China's like, "You didn't have to come, you know." And then a big set of Dumbledores creaks open. "I don't see any little guy there this time, man." So they're all spooked and they walk into the main viewing hall of the Waxwork. And they're all horror themed, okay? We see things like Frankenstein's monster. There's like a hillbilly axe murderer. Both of them have like, their bad guy in them and then also a victim that the bad guy has killed.
Yeah.
Right.
All made of wax.
Yeah, that would be, where the name of the movie comes in.
Yep.
But the exhibits are being played by real people that you can see are having trouble staying totally still. It's fine. China moves off by herself, then Tony does, okay? We see other things like a witch doctor. There's a circus freak who is actually like a cobra boy. Zach's checking out a medieval murder scene, which I find out now the bad guy was a golem.
Oh.
Sarah leaves and she goes exploring by herself now. And we see my favorite exhibit in the entire Waxwork, the Invisible Man.
Oh my God.
Okay. And he's just wrapped up in bandages and sunglasses, right? He's wearing like clothes over them. But what's making him so scary in this scene is that he's like a killer, right? And he's killing this woman by pumping gas into her mouth.
It's like at a gas pump.
Yeah.
He's like holding the nozzle up to her face.
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
There's a few things in this movie that are like history.
Dude, he's holding the gas nozzle is like at dick level.
Yes.
He's like
fill her up.
feeding her the gas. I'll post a picture of it.
Tony passes a display that has no victim in it. This is a mummy exhibit, okay? And then after that, he sees a werewolf scene. Now this is killer. He goes to light up a cigarette and he accidentally flings his Zippo into the exhibit. Because he's one of those douches that has to open his Zippo like it's a trick.
Yeah.
The lighter flies in there and we just hear... And he's looking around like, what? Looking in the exhibit. Where the hell did it go? Well, they won't mind if I go in for my lighter. So then he steps over the velvet rope and there's this big blue electric liquid effect. It's very well done for the time. Mm-hmm. And we see that he has stepped into the woods at night.
Oh.
He has gone through a portal, ladies and gentlemen. He's wearing different clothes, and he's got shitty long hair now. And he's like, what the hell? He's looking around. He is obviously outside. Okay? All right. Who put the acid in my drink again? China. Wait a minute. I gave up drinking. What is this, a hologram? No. Hypnotism. Hypnotism, that's it. I'm hypnotized. All right. I hope you guys can hear me, because this is a hell of an illusion. I mean, I can smell the pine trees. Okay. He looks around. All right, we got a house. He sees one in the distance. Okay, it's all dark, scary looking. Oh. And he looks around the rest of the forest. Nothing but dark woods. Okay, so we got a house. All right, I guess I'll go to the house.
He's really taking this like a sport.
Yeah. As he's walking to the house, we hear, oh, in the distance. And he's like, what? He starts knocking on the door. You ever heard anybody knock on the door like they are a douchebag? Go watch this movie. If anybody fucking knocked on my door like this, I would kill them. From inside the cabin, we hear, go away! Hey, hypnotist, make this guy a little more friendly, huh? He knocks again.
Please, go far from here.
Tony just goes in the door. Inside, it's just a rustic cabin. Basically just one room, there's maybe a hallway off in the back or whatever. And he sees John Rhys Davies.
All right.
Oh.
That's right. Remember Gimli from Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Okay. But he's not a dwarf in this movie.
He's just a man in a cabin.
Furiously masturbating in the corner. Masturbating with a fury the likes of which you have never seen. Like, something's got to be wrong. He's going so hard. He's still doing it when he
Gets up and he walks over to Tony. Why didn't you listen?
Tony's just like, Jesus.
As a matter of courtesy, I'm going to ask you please do not look at my dick.
With his one hand he's not using, he puts it on Tony's shoulder. And he's like,
Jack, I know your father was my dearest friend. But you can do nothing to help me.
Yeah, man. You know what? Looks like you got this. But, Jack, I think you got the wrong guy, man.
Jack! You must run, Jack, as far as you can. The full moon has already risen.
We see moonlight coming through the windows.
Jack, off with you!
Oh, jack off with you. I get it. Like jacking off with me.
In a few moments. I dare not think what will happen.
He is furiously pumping his fist. Tony's like, oh, I know what's going to happen, man. You know what, though? It's a little cold in here. I'm going to go out. I'm going to get some firewood and let you finish. And then we'll talk.
It is too late.
He starts painfully throwing his
Body from side to side.
Tony's like, relax, man. It'll come. Relax. I'll get the wood. The firewood. I'll get the firewood. All right. I'll come back. We'll talk about it then, okay? Tony leaves, shuts the door behind him, and he's like, get me the hell out of here! I'm stuck. I'm stuck in this nowhere place. No cigarettes. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Entertain this asshole? Okay. You know what? Okay, great. All right, I'll play your game. Get some firewood. Okay. He actually does go and collect firewood. Inside, we see John Rhys Davies like, his fingernails are like
Scratching the table.
Tony outside. The Bahamas, a pretty girl, a bikini. Did I get a pretty woman in my illusion? No. I get a dick. A hairy dick. He goes back in with the wood. John Rhys Davies, nowhere to be found. Ooh. Hello? I guess he didn't want to talk. And then this giant, hairy werewolf comes straight at Tony with a huge, hairless, cherry red boner. Oh, God. Tony's like, oh, shit! Tony runs around the room trying to get away from him, okay? This isn't fun anymore. Get me the hell out of here. Here. Good boy, stay. He tries to hit the werewolf with a giant spoon and just gets taken.
Oh, shit.
And then a hunter and his assistant walk in the front door. Damn it, we're too late. He started without us. Give me the silver bullet. The assistant digs through this bag of like dildos and cock rings and magnums. And he's like, where is it? Tony is getting rocked and rolled in the corner. Okay. And then the wolf throws him aside and turns to the hunters. The assistant's like, here it is. And he pulls out a silver bullet. Fumbling to give it to the hunter, he drops it on the floor. And it's like, the hunter's like, damn it, man, leave it. Distract him. So the assistant jumps up and starts humping the air and like acting like he's grabbing boobs. It works, and the wolf is enticed his way.
The fuck are you doing?
Tony is struggling with himself in the corner. When the assistant hits the wolf with a rubber dong, and the wolf actually like brushes his shoulder off. He's like a big, scary, good-looking werewolf, okay? Big red dong. And then he grabs the assistant's head, and he works it so damn hard. He rips him in half down the middle, and it's like... The hunter is over there struggling to pick up the silver bullet. He finally gets it, and he puts it in the werewolf. And the werewolf finally comes. And then he walks over to the table, and the werewolf sits down at the table like to catch his breath. And he's like, and he looks over at Tony, who is now becoming a werewolf himself. Ooh. And he looks like he is in pain, man. Oh, this is gotta hurt. The hunter takes this opportunity to walk over and retrieve the silver bullets. Tony, he's growing claws and a big red boner of his own. The hunter walks up to him with the silver bullet, and he says, God forgive me. And he shoves it into the Tony Wolf. The Tony Wolf comes and slouches down against the wall, motionless. And then the camera pans over to the left, and we see Zach walking by the exhibit and looking at him. Huh, look at that. Yeah. It's like a seamless transition. It was beautifully done. Oh, yeah. Looks at this like wolf boner. He's like, disgusting. So Tony is part of the Waxwork now. He is part of that exhibit.
Yeah.
So now we're with Sarah. She's walking around. She sees Audrey too. Anybody know who that is?
Oh, yeah. From Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah. Now we see China, and she is checking out the Dracula exhibit.
Uh-oh.
Dracula in this movie is played by Miles O'Keefe, a sexy man. He's probably the best looking Dracula that's ever been on screen. She sees him on some stairs. You know, the wax figure, he's bending down onto some stairs. There's nothing underneath him. She's like, what are you doing over there, handsome? And then the velvet rope just drops by itself. It's like, whoa, good idea. Let's just take a little look. She is in Dracula's castle in a big white ball gown. Ooh. She like looks herself up and down. What the hell? And then she hears, welcome, my dear. We thought you were too tired to join us, so we started without you. My apologies. You are going to grace us with your presence? join us. And it's like, you see his eyes? And, oh yeah, Dracula can hypnotize. He's sitting at the end of a big long table with a whole bunch of goths. And they're all like staring at China. She's just entranced by Dracula's eyes. Come to me. She goes and sits down at the opposite end of the table. You've met my son, Stefan, who is an ugly prick. This is Corinja, Vega, Gabriella, and Bing Bong. I'm sorry your fiancé couldn't join us. He had to leave abruptly. But he asked me to watch over you, if you know what I mean. And he claps his hands. And then a manservant with a nice little mustache comes and puts a bowl of chum in front of her. And she's like, and it is obviously like bloody shit in this bowl, okay? And then Dracula just goes, raw meat. You do like raw meat? Please, if not, we can have some. No, that's fine. I haven't had steak tartare in a long time. Steak tartare? Oh, yes. Steak tartare. And the manservant, whose real name, okay, the actor, his name is Candy, with an I. He brings a gravy boat that is full of black shit, and she's like, oh, no, that's fine. No sauce? But the sauce makes the dish. Well, if our guest doesn't like the sauce. No, that's okay. If you recommend it, I'll try it. And then Candy pours a shit ton of black goo into her meat, her raw meat, okay? And then Dracula sums up this entire film, and for that matter, this podcast, by saying, it's a little salty. But that's all part of its charm. I'm doing good. So they're all just watching her, and she takes a big old nasty bite of that shit.
Oh.
Right then, they all just start slurping it down, and they spend a long time, okay, showing all of these goths eating this raw meat. And they're all like, and it fades into China's empty bowl. Okay?
Oh, God.
It's a pretty big bowl, too, okay? And she's like wiping her mouth, and it's like,
Check, please.
I must bid you good night. Candy will show you to your room. So then she leaves. She goes to her room. It's a really nice, room. It's got a big old bed. She's like, wow, what an intense dream. And then ugly Stefan sneaks in and he wants anal. If my father knew I was here, he would banish me from the castle. He wants you for himself. And then he gets up in her face and he goes to kiss her. Hey, not so fast. Like, what the hell? And then he opens his mouth and bares his fangs. And he's like, she's like, oh, shit. She runs, and he ends up biting into the statue that was right behind her. And you can hear his teeth hit it.
Oh, shit.
Well, yeah, it probably hurt, because he turns around and he goes, you bitch! China goes running through the castle. She goes back downstairs. She's running through the empty dining room. She passes a very well-behaved dog who is just sitting there, okay, with a plate in front of him that has a dick on it. Like, he's like, waiting to be told to eat it. That's a good dog.
Yeah.
She's freaking out. She runs downstairs, and she stumbles into the castle kitchen, okay? It's dark, and she's like, catching her breath. Darling, is that you? It's me, Charles. Charles? Yes, your fiancé. She's looking around for the light switch. Don't turn it on! I don't want you to see me like this. She turns it on, and she sees this guy strapped to a table, totally naked, with his entire left calf totally carved away down to the bone.
Oh.
Jeez.
Like, it's like thigh, bone, foot.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's cool.
It is awesome. That's what they were eating at dinner. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, no dick. She's like, ah! I told you, darling. This is all a game. We're at the Waxwork. It isn't real. And she like gets down in his face and she's like, it's all a sick, stupid game. Oh, I wish it was so. Ah, get it off. She turns and sees a rat nibbling on his bloody leg bone. Yeah. And she's like, ah, she swipes it away. It's like, me, 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 me. Now, in real life, he wouldn't have felt that because the nerves, they're gone. They're gone by now.
That guy's a good actor, though.
Oh, man, this guy is amazing. This is one of the coolest ideas in any movie ever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Now listen. The Count is a vampire. They all are. You have to destroy them.
No, come on. I'll get you loose.
No, it's too late for that now.
Vampires are fiction.
No, they're real. And they can only be killed by a crucifix, wood through the heart, or penectomy.
You're crazy. And then boom, Stefan busts in. Ugly Stefan. So, my pretty, you came down for a little midnight snack. He walks up to Charles.
Don't look in his eyes.
I too feel peckish. First, the hors d'oeuvre. And he pulls a piece off of Charles.
Ah!
And he eats it, and then he looks at China, and he's like, and now, the ass. He chases her round and round the Charles table. Yeah. No! Stefan lunges and grabs her. She picks up a knife and stabs it right into Stefan's gut. But, he's okay, because he's a vampire, you dumbasses. She backs up, and he's just like, and he pulls the knife out, and then slams it into Charles's thigh. Oh! And then he grabs China, he bends her over, and he says,
Now hold on tight. I'm going to really open her up this time and see what you can do.
Quickly, she pulls the knife out of Charles's thigh, picks up another one, crosses them in front of her, and makes a crucifix.
Nice.
Stefan just and backs up against the wall. Charles yells out,
Touch his head! Touch his head!
She does, and Stefan just sinks to his knees, screaming, smoking, you guys, and then boom! His head explodes and covers China and Charles in gore.
Awesome.
It's fucking cool.
It is beautiful. China cannot believe what is happening to her, and she just screams, okay? Charles yells,
Brilliant, darling! Now find the Count! Look over there! Break the chair! You can use its leg as a stake!
She goes over to the chair.
Break it! Break it!
She kicks it. She picks up the chair leg. Just as Bing Bong and the rest of the Vampiros Lesbos come into the kitchen. China, this is beautifully done. China, now armed, okay, she steals her resolve for battle. She's facing 3 of these bitches, okay? Like, huge character development here, okay? Remember what she was like in the beginning.
Yeah.
So they converge on China, and she is not screwing around. She stakes one of them immediately. Then she grabs Bing Bong and pushes her aside. She throws her, okay? Bing Bong goes and lands face down on Charles. China then grabs the 3rd lesbian, okay? And throws her into the wall of champagne bottles, which pierce her heart and all pop open as that happens, totally spraying China head to toe with bloody champagne.
I love it.
It was brilliant.
Then she turns to Bing Bong. And she just rams the stake right into her heart, down through her back. Okay? Oof. And then throws her aside, exposing Charles's face, who sadly then looks up and exposes his own fangs and goes, oh. And it's like, oh man. He is a vampire now, okay? Like, Godspeed, Charles. Okay, you just talked a slutty, self-absorbed college co-ed through killing 4 vampires. Okay? We hardly knew you, Charles. So China runs upstairs. She goes back into the dining hall. Okay, I'll find the main door to the castle and I'm getting out of this shit. In the dining hall, the doors all start slamming shut and locking. Now, China is covered in blood. Okay? All of a sudden, we hear bats fluttering. She turns around and... Going somewhere, my beauty.
Ooh.
It's Dracula, baby. She's just staring at him. And she starts approaching him slowly. Like he's got her entranced, maybe? Or is this just what she's wanted the whole time? She walks up to him. He takes her in his arms. And she just leans her head back and gives him her neck. He kneels her down on the stairs and drinks.
Oh.
The most tragic character in this film, I give you, China.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Such a character arc. I loved it. China? Tony? Sarah? Where are you guys? It's Zach. He's searching around the Waxwork. He walks by the Dracula exhibit, walks right by China, never notices.
Oh.
He finds Sarah, who is looking with keen interest at an exhibit of a sexy, long-haired J. Kenneth Campbell, who is holding a whip. Look up J. Kenneth Campbell, The Abyss. This is the man that Candy loved. Zach walks up next to her, and Sarah just says, the Marquis de Sade once said that sex without fear and pain was like food without taste. Zach looks at her like, haven't we been doing our homework? I've always wondered why someone would believe in something like that. Guilt? Society? Good and evil? I don't know. I'm going to go look for the others, okay? He walks away, and she is just staring into the eyes of this wax figure of J. Kenneth Campbell. And it's like he's grinning at her.
Yeah.
And then the velvet rope drops for Sarah.
Oh.
And it's like, oh. She steps towards it. And then, where the hell are they? I can't find them. Zach is back. Don't worry, they probably just went home. What? Tony and China. Like together. Ooh, jealousy. I'm not kidding. Let's go. So they leave the exhibit hall. Back into the waiting room, and they run into Mihai, who bows really quick. And his hair moves when he does it. It's so cute. I hope you're enjoying your visit. Yes. Yes, thank you. Your two friends left earlier. Uh-huh. They seemed laughing very much. Tony and China? Well, good night. So they're walking out of the waxwork, and Zach's like, man, God, what's up? Why is China such a whore? Well, then why do you still like her? I don't know if I ever liked her. It's just, you want what you can't get. And he walks away, and Sarah like stares at him, and she's like, I know what you mean. And it's like, oh. Now we cut to Jonathan. Remember him?
Yeah.
Football jock.
Oh, yes.
And he's like walking down the street. He gets into a phone booth and makes a call. Yeah, hello? Mrs. Webster? Is China there? No! A party at a Waxworks, huh? And he like slams his fist. Like while he's on the phone with this girl's mother. You don't happen to have the address, do you? And we cut to Jonathan at the Waxwork. And he's like already inside. He just went in.
Yeah.
It's well past midnight now, okay? He's like wandering around. China, where are you? He's looking at all the exhibits. My God. And he stops at the Phantom of the Opera, okay? And we see that it is victimless, okay? And all of a sudden there's a hand on his shoulder and it's like, ring! And it's the Waxwork man, David Warner. Good evening. I own this Waxwork. Oh, look, I'm sorry. I was just following a friend in here for some laughs, I'll leave. Well, that's all right. What's the point of having all these beautiful works of art if you can't appreciate them? This, for instance, isn't the figure wonderful? Whoa! Is that the actual mask? As worn by the Phantom in the movie Curse of the Opera. And he's a football jock.
What the fuck?
The Waxwork man turns to him and he goes, "They made a movie about the Phantom of the Opera?" "Several." "Would you like a closer look?" "Really?" "Step in, please." And then he just shoves him through the portal.
Yeah.
And just goes... We don't even see it. We just see the light kind of flicker on David Warner's face. And he just walks away from the exhibit. And he's like, "They'll make a movie about anything nowadays." And the camera pans left, and we see Jonathan is already part of the exhibit.
Yeah. It's after midnight. We got to speed things up.
Sure. And now he's in a constable outfit. Like he's a cop from Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
And he's like laying over the organ with, I don't know, like a billy club sticking out of his ass.
Wasn't the Phantom not so bad of a guy?
He was just tragic. I mean, he did murder people, though.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, jeez.
So now Zach has walked Sarah home to her apartment building. "I'd invite you in, but my shithole apartment looks like something out of the movie Seven. And my abusive stepfather is kind of molesty." "That's okay." And they look at each other. And at this point, we begin to hear for the first time what I have come to call the marquee theme.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? It's a piece of music. It's played heavily later when we get into the Marquis de Sade exhibit. Beautifully composed by Roger Bellon, who also did the soundtrack for The Unholy. Dunky, 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 dunk, Dildopolis, Dildopolis. So they're sharing this look, and Zach reaches in to kiss her. "No, Zach." "Well, why not?" "I don't know. I really like you, and I think you smell like a really high-end deli bologna." He just shakes his head. He's like, "Come on. No, I'm serious. It's just, I don't know why. I'm looking for something else." Hey, it's okay. You know what? Go get some sleep." She smiles. She's like, "Thank you." And she walks inside. So obviously they like each other, but we have a hurdle to overcome. Mm-hmm. J. Kenneth Campbell. So Zach gets home at what must be like 2 or 3 in the morning, all right, to find his maid in her nightgown, absolutely pulling her hair out, trying to write 60 pages of essays about potatoes and dicks. He kneels down to her. "Are you finished?" She turns. She's like, "Yes, but you know, Mr. Zach, my English is not so good." No, that's okay." He's looking through it. "Great, footnotes and everything. You are an angel." Next day, he's on the phone. He finds out that neither China nor Tony came home last night, and he is very upset. Back at the bleachers, he's talking to Sarah, James, and Gemma. "They didn't come home, and I even went by the Waxwork this morning. No one was there. Maybe they've been kidnapped, you guys, or even worse, boiled in wax." "Dude, chill, okay? They probably just went to a motel." "No way, it's not like that." Maybe it is, Zach." "I'm giving them till this afternoon, and then I'm going to the police." And it just cuts to Zach in the police station. He's in the office of this police detective, played expertly by Charles McCaughan, who was not in many movies after this. But he was the greatest 80s horror detective you could ask for.
Yeah, for sure.
"You know how many people in this town have gone missing in the last 2 weeks? No. "Shit tons!" 13. That's a lot of people for 2 weeks. And now another 2. And you're telling me that they've been kidnapped and boiled in wax? All I know is something's going on in that Waxworks. "Oh, come on, kid. You can give me a better story than that." "I told you everything I know." And then Inspector McCaughan just like slams his fist. "Okay, but if this is some kind of sick joke, I'll have your balls for dinner tonight with my wife. You got that?" Yes. Good. So they go to the Waxwork together, and also in tow is McCaughan's partner, who doesn't say much, but he is wearing Shooter McGavin's gold jacket for some reason. Knock, knock, knock. David Warner, the Waxwork man, opens up the door. Hi, I'm Inspector McCaughan. Can I look around your Waxwork, please? Yes, of course. Why? Well, this young man here claims that he and some friends were here last night, and, well, they've disappeared. Well, come on in, please. So they walk in. As you know, Inspector, we're not open yet, so I doubt if they visited this waxwork last night. Zach just looks at the cop. He's like, you gonna swallow that shit? You! Shut up! Put your finger in my belt loop. Go on! Okay, jeez. McCon turns back to David Warner. He's like, you were saying? Well, it couldn't be this waxwork, unless they broke in after dark. What the hell? Of course, feel free to wander around if you wish. It'd be a pleasure. And then the cop looks at Zach, and he's like, you stay here. But I want to show you this one waxwork. Sit! The inspector goes into the exhibit hall with the waxwork man. McCon lights up a cigarette, which the waxwork man immediately simply takes away, puts out, and gives back. McCon stops at the mummy exhibit, and he's like, oh, this is wonderful. You know, I've always been fascinated with Egyptian history. Yes, it's always been one of my favorites, too. Would you like a closer look? It's all rather morbid, though, isn't it? Well, it does seem to be what the people want. Yeah, I guess you're right. Sure you wouldn't like a closer look. And then the waxwork man goes to push McCon over the barrier into the exhibit. And McCon just like, nope, resists. He's able to stop it. But instead of like getting assy with the waxwork man, he just goes, no, please, I really must be going.
Yeah.
And then he leaves. Like, he's a good cop.
It's like a real scary moment.
Yes. Outside, McCon's talking to Zach. Well, what else do you want me to do? This isn't Russia, man, okay? Listen, kid, I know you're worried, all right? Why don't you just go home? Now relax. And he leaves. Zach realizes this guy ain't gonna help, so he looks over the waxwork and he's like, that's it! Now we cut to the Nazi professor's class again. Never underestimate the political significance of Mein Kampf as literature. And then Zach like busts into the class and he's all loud. He's like, oh, excuse me, professor. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I'm so sick. It's contagious. You know, Sarah's got it too. She needs to come to the hospital with me. Okay. And he just like grabs her hand and starts pulling her out. He's like, I'm so sorry, professor. Oh my God. And the professor is just like, he's got his face in his hands like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Did he turn in his essays?
He pulls her out into the hallway, and they're running down this hall that is full of lockers. Like in a college?
Yeah.
It's obviously filmed in a high school. Mm-hmm. Come on! I went to the waxwork today, and I met this man! So what? I recognize his face! Come on! And we cut to Inspector McCon in his office, and he's like, oh man, he is troubled. He's like looking at all these missing posters, you know, and if you look close, they all say, contact Santa Carla Police Department. They are the very same missing posters from the Lost Boys.
Oh.
Nice. If you don't like Lost Boys, go fuck yourself.
So he's looking at these posters and he starts to realize that these faces look very similar to all of the victims in the waxwork displays.
Oh, yeah.
So he goes and he breaks into the waxwork on his own while his partner waits in the car. Let me go in with you. Sit in the car! Sit! Okay. So he's in there and he walks right up to the Dracula exhibit. He steps over the rope and nothing happens because that exhibit has its victim already, right? So he gets down, he looks real close at China's face. And he pulls out his pocket knife and just digs into her cheek.
Yeah.
Like, and it's wax, right? He's like ruining this thing. But then underneath all this wax, he finds like facial meat.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like mummified. And he digs a big old gross piece like out of it. And he's like trying to use the knife to put it in a baggie and it's not working. And he's like, and he has to just pick it up with his fingers.
A lot of people overlook, but there's a lot of good meat on the face.
Now we cut to Zach and Sarah, and they're in his attic, you know, in his mansion. And it's all cobwebby and dusty, and there's like a bunch of old stuff up there, all right? Whose is all this? My grandfather's. He was a very strange man. He was fascinated by death and horror. That and other people's dads for some reason. And he starts digging around through an old chest, okay, while Sarah starts exploring. She goes and she finds a book about the Marquis de Sade.
In his grandfather's attic.
Yeah. And it actually, she picks it up, she sees the name, and it kind of starts glowing for her a little bit. And she's like, getting a little sweaty and horny. It's like breathing really heavy.
I have to interject. A girl that's into Marquis de Sade, that's a deal breaker. I looked up Marquis de Sade when I was reading about this movie. You know, did a little Wikipedia freefall. Mm-hmm. It's not just erotica, Candy and Ron.
I've read most of his books.
Oh, God. So you would know. Marquis de Sade writes about stuff like cutting off breasts.
Yeah.
And then characters in the story being turned on by the cutting off of breasts.
Yeah.
It's like, and Sarah is into this shit. Like, that red flag right there.
Yeah. There's a lot of poop, too, to be honest.
Dude,
Oh, really?
I remember.
Like, in so many of his books, the terms frig my beshitted cock
Dude.
shows up.
Dude.
And it's like, Jesus.
I wrote down the word frig. We learned what the word frig is. Remember when you'd use the F word? You'd say fuck, but then you'd say frig.
Yeah.
Like, as if it was not a bad word.
Turns out it is. Well, that's why I named Zach Frigmore.
There you go.
Little connection with the Marquis. So anyway, Zach pulls out an old newspaper. Hey, Sarah, come here. Listen to this. Last night, millionaire Michael Frigmore was found murdered and burnt at his home. The only thing missing from the house was a collection of 36 artifacts, all belonging to Frigmore. The only clue is the disappearance of Mr. David Warner. Frigmore's chief helper at the house. And here's a photo of him. And it's the Waxwork man.
Oh.
Yeah.
He hasn't aged. Zach, what's happening? I don't know, but I know where we can find out. Now we cut to Inspector McCawn, still in the Waxwork, okay? And he just walks into the mummy exhibit. Like, I can do what I want, because I'm a cop. And he is in an Egyptian tomb, baby. And he's there with an archaeologist and a young woman.
Yeah. She's great.
They're in Egypt, so she's sweating. The archaeologist is like, come on, Nigel, give me a hand. He's trying to open a big stone sarcophagus. McConn's looking around like, what the hell? Come on, Nigel. McConn looks at the girl, who's like sweaty and smiling at him. Help the professor, darling. He takes one look at her and he's like, yeah, I'm going to go with this. And he goes and helps the professor push the lid. And it's pretty hard. It is heavy. Okay. They get it open and there's this old, dusty, dry, mummified corpse inside and it's holding a scroll.
It's quite pungent. Oh, yeah.
I finally found him. King Come On Titty.
Okay, gotcha.
He pulls out the scroll and he opens it. What? That's it? He turns it around and shows it to him. It's just a drawing of a big old dick. How many movies is that in?
Fucking seriously.
Wait, what's this on the back? It's a curse. Those who desecrate the tomb of Come On Titty will be condemned to a painful death at the hands of, and then across the room, another sarcophagus that's standing up opens up, and out steps a big, good-looking, scary mummy.
Dude, totally.
Yeah.
Best mummy you've ever seen.
Yeah, he looked great. The professor's like, Fisto the Protector! Oh, good heavens!
Oh, shit.
The girl's like, ah! McCon sees this thing, and it's like walking towards him, and he's like, shit! Let's get the hell out of here! And then the stone door to the tomb just slams shut. McCon and the girl, they try to open the door while the mummy lumbers towards the professor. This mummy's also dribbling black goo out of his mouth the entire time. It's so cool. McCon yells to the professor, haven't you got a gun or anything? Yes, in my bag on the other side of the Boom! McCon runs for it. Yeah, he finds it and loads it up. The mummy grabs the professor, turns him around, and shoves his whole arm up that old man's butt.
Oh, shit.
And the professor's like, oh! And he throws his head back, and all of this black goo like drips out of the mummy's mouth and into his mouth.
Oh, shit.
It is so nasty. Then the mummy comes towards McCon, who empties the gun into him. Mummy's still coming. McCon shits his pants.
Oh, God.
The mummy then backhands him away and picks up the girl. He carries her over to come on Titty's sarcophagus, and the dusty corpse inside just opens up its arms for her. It is, like, actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then the mummy tosses her in, and the arms close on her.
Oof.
Then the mummy throws McCon in and slams the lid down like it is nothing.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah.
We cut to Zach and Sarah banging on the door of another mansion, okay? Inside, there's good old Patrick McNee. Ha-ha! Yes! And he's playing piano.
All right.
Just being a cool old guy. They come in. Hello, Zach! Sit down, dear fellow, sit down. Ha-ha! I am. And he wheels out from behind the piano. He's in a wheelchair. And it's like, oh.
He's like Professor X. He's all right.
Yeah, but he resents being in the chair. It's so funny. Sir Wilfrid, this is Sarah. Sarah, this is Sir Wilfrid, my godfather. Just call me Wilfie. Now, how about whiskey? No. Well, so what's so urgent? So they start telling their story. And, it's a long story, so they cut away. To McCon's partner in the car, like, he told me to stay here. You know what? He pulls his gun out. He's like, I'm going to go get him. So he gets inside the waxwork and he's like creeping around with his gun out, looking for his partner. When all of a sudden behind him, Lurch appears and just breaks his neck.
God.
The guy just collapses onto the ground. David Warner walks into the room and he's like, what the hell did you kill him for?
Yeah, really.
We still need 2 more. He'd have been perfect. Lurch starts bawling. He sits down in a chair. Warner also folds and he's like, that's all right. I'm sorry I shouted. And he's like caressing his head. You've got to learn your own strength.
It's great. I love this part.
You're a big boy now. Very big. We need more visitors. We're running out of time. And then he points to the dead cop on the floor and says to Lurch, get rid of that. It's useless. Back with Sir Wilfrid. He explains that Zach's grandfather had collected over the years 18 trinkets belonging to the most evil men that have ever been. Well, so what's up with that? Divide 18 into 3? 6, 6, and 6. Yes, the number of the devil. Ha ha! Your grandfather and I were fascinated by all that horror stuff. We were also lovers, you see. What? Nothing. Anyway, we never took it very seriously. But Mr. Warner obviously does. Who is he? He had his own waxwork before he worked for your grandfather. He murders my grandfather 40 years ago and still doesn't look a day over 50. If you sold your soul to the devil, you'd never age either. Ha ha, black magic! Well, then what do? You work for Satan, tipping the scales of good and evil. Here. He pulls out books. He's got all these books on black magic and evil. And like for fun, he's playing piano. There's a voodoo belief that by making a wax effigy of an evil being containing an object that he possessed in earthly form and feeding him the soul of a believing victim, you can bring him back to life. But what you've discovered is even more terrifying. Your grandfather not only collected belongings, but also pieces of these beings' homes. So Mr. Warner, what he's created is a scene from each of their lives. So it's like a small time vessel. The whole display is the ghost, not just the sculptures. He doesn't need to kill anyone. The display does it for him. Until the day when there are 18 victims, and then 18 of the most evil assholes shall live again and destroy the world with the help of their possessed. What do we do, Mr. Wilfred? You must burn the waxworks, specifically the ones without victims. You must go, now! So they go, now. They leave, and Sir Wilfred picks up the phone. He makes a call. Tell the others that our Mr. Warner has been found. It has begun.
Damn.
Zach and Sarah go to the Waxwork, and it's nighttime. They're going to sneak in. They break in through the back door. They got lighter fluid with them so they can burn down all the displays, right? So they're in the back room, and they see this giant boiling cauldron of wax. They walk out into the display hall, and they go right through the wing of the sad half-melted penises, you guys. And Zach's like, oh, it was here. Out in the display hall, Zach finally recognizes the Tony Wolf, and he's like, Sarah! And he finds her staring at the Marquis de Sade, baby. What are you doing? Come on, we gotta burn him! He goes over to a zombie display, okay, that also has no victim, and he starts, like, squirting the fluid all over this display, you know? This zombie that was one of the most evil men that ever existed.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah, come on! He looks over. She's gone.
Yeah.
Shit!
Let her die, man. It's not worth it.
Right then, Lurch just pushes Zach into the zombie display.
Damn.
Right next to Lurch is Mihai, and he's like, bravo! And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment that Candy has been waiting for, we cut to J. Kenneth Campbell with long brown hair as the Marquis de Sade. And he is with an English prince, who is also the director of the movie, Mr. Anthony Hickox.
All right.
Oh.
They make a toast to an excellent lunch, Marquis. Well, shall we go riding, or do you have something more vigorous for today's entertainment? Oh, I don't know about you, your majesty, but I do get so bored with whipping horses. And immediately, ladies and gentlemen, you notice something special about this part of the movie. The Marquis is amazing. Candy was completely in love with this guy, okay, when we were kids. And, you know, even as a guy, when you're watching him, you're like, yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Now that same music starts to play from earlier, and it is haunting, okay? Like, you feel stuff.
I know. It creates this whole atmosphere
Yeah.
for the whole scene.
Yeah, you are in the display with them. Mm-hmm. So then the Marquis snaps his fingers, and man, it is loud, because he is a man. And the servants bring in a captive and blindfolded Sarah, and she's in an old-timey French powdery wig. They tie her up, and the Marquis says, how would you like to ride this little filly until she drops? What a wonderful idea, Marquis. And the prince, he goes up, he inspects Sarah, who's just looking down at the ground. She's defeated. So fit, so unbroken. Shall we see how long it will take to break her? And the Marquis, like, puts on his big black gloves.
Oh, God.
He's also wearing a black scarf around his hair, around his head,
Yeah.
like a pirate.
Yeah, like a pirate.
He walks up to the prince and holds his hand out. May I? Of course. And the prince gives him his riding crop. Please, have a seat. So the Marquis then slowly approaches Sarah, and he just pulls her wig right off. And she's like, kind of sweaty underneath that big old wig. She's got a look on her face like she has already given in to the abandon of her situation. Okay? Right. She is where she wants to be. And he gets up next to her, like right up next to her face. And he's just like, what a beautiful sight. No. First, I'm going to warm you up with the prince's riding crop.
God.
After which, I'm going to hand you to the prince
and his consorts to use you like the whore you are.
And then he turns his face to hers and he's like,
Then, my beauty, I shall beat you again until you die.
and he kisses her. And it's like, boom, baby. Candy says, bravo, bravo.
Bravo.
And the prince is looking at this whole thing. He's just watching the marquee work and he's just like, damn. So then, you know what? Without further ado, the marquis steps back and he starts whipping Sarah. So we cut to Zach in the zombie display, and guess what? It is black and white like the original Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, man.
Man, yeah, that's so cool. And he's in a graveyard being chased by zombies. And the credits roll, baby.
A lot of people overlook, but there's a lot of good meat on the face.
And all the zombies, yeah, they're all running around going like, he's running away from him, and finally he gets grabbed by one, okay? He falls, and, he's struggling with it for a while, and this zombie has got his hand, like, clamped around Zach's leg, okay? And he's not letting go. Zach finally has to pick up a rock and, like, bash the hand off of this zombie's arm, leave the hand clamped on his leg, and keep running. The hand's, like, crawling around on him and, like, caressing. And he has to run from more zombies. Eventually, he comes to the cemetery gates, okay? He finally pulls this hand off, jumps up, and impales it on one of the, the little fence bars, okay?
Yeah.
And then he tries to leave the cemetery, and he's stopped, okay? And there's that blue liquid effect going on. Like, he's found the portal to get out.
Yeah.
But it's not letting him out, which sucks. Okay, like he actually found the way out.
Yeah.
Okay, but it turns out you can't get out. So he's fucked. All right, zombies, they're closing in. He turns around and he looks at him, and they're like, coming for him. He's like, this isn't real. None of this is. And then the zombies like, stop, and they're like, I was forced here. If I don't believe in you, then you don't exist. Shit. I hope I'm right. And then he just turns around and dives through the cemetery gates and actually makes it through the portal for some reason. Because he doesn't believe in it.
Yeah.
So it has no power over him. You have no power over me. So he comes out into the display hall and immediately gets chased through the waxwork by Lurch and Mihai. Okay? Like, get him! He runs and just jumps right into the marquee's display.
Like, it let two people in there.
Yeah. What's going on there? I feel like this is a good time to call into, discussion the mechanics of the mythology.
Well, keep in mind, it still wants 2 more victims, right?
Yeah, but there's nothing that says each one could, that one could take 2, but I guess they could.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got, like, orifices. It is the Marquis de Sade.
Orifices, orifice?
Orifi.
Orifici. So now he's walking into this castle, right? And there's a guard who's like, hey, voulez-vous coucher avec moi? And Zach's like, you know what? I'm sorry. I've never been very good at languages. And then little Zach just kicks this guard's ass and takes his gun.
Yeah.
All right. And it's one of those guns that you got to load with like powder and flint and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like one shot. Now we cut to the Marquis de Sade, and he's like, out of breath. I've never seen a girl take so much. She's an even bigger whore than her face betrays. Then why stop, Marquis? Beat her more. But your highness, if I beat her more, she may not survive. I want to see this whore die at the whip now.
Holy shit.
Yeah, man.
It's pretty serious.
As you wish. And he gets up to Sarah, and he's like, now, my pretty rose, you die. Starts whipping her more.
Yeah.
The Marquis is all in, baby. He's getting ready to do this when he is interrupted by Zach, who simply quietly walks into the room with a gun. Okay, Sarah, who is being beaten within inches of her life, right? But her back is just like a little pink.
Yeah.
All right. She's like collapsed. She's tied by her wrists. So she's just like staring at the ground. She does not see Zach walk in. Everybody else does, including the Prince and the Marquis. And they just stop and no one says a word. The Marquis sees Zach and just stops whipping. Sarah realizes that he's stopped, and she actually just starts crying out, "Please, don't stop. Please don't stop. More.
Fucking seriously.
Zach," because she still hasn't seen Zach. Zach heard her say that, and he is pissed.
Seriously,
He's
man.
looking down at her like, man, what the hell am I even doing in here?
No, he looks at her like he is disgusted.
Oh, yeah.
So it would never work out, really.
Like, you just wait till I get you home. He walks up and he unlocks her manacles, okay? She immediately runs to the Marquis, gets down and hugs onto his leg like Leia on Luke's leg in the movie poster for freaking Star Wars.
Damn right, man.
Don't let him take me! And the Marquis is like, it seems she prefers our company, young man. I must say, your girlfriend gave us quite an entertaining show. What a slut she is. You don't exist. He says that. Your words mean nothing. Oh, don't be angry. Just because she had her first orgasm at the end of a whip and not by your touch.
Good Lord.
Sarah, go away! Remember Tony? Remember China? You're being possessed. Like, she doesn't even remember who she is, guys.
Yeah.
I'm like embarrassed for everyone.
Oh, yeah. They can only harm you if you believe in them. Watch. And then he just turns the gun around and hands it out to the Marquis, who like, huh? But doesn't hesitate to take the gun. And he's just like, looks around like, are you guys seeing this? Come on, shoot me, hit me! Or can you only beat little girls? Yeah, because you're not a real man. And then, boom! The Marquis fires, and the bullet goes right through Zach like it was a ghost, and it hits the wall.
Oh, yeah.
The Marquis is like,
Shooting blanks.
whoa. You see, Sarah? The Marquis like throws Sarah to the side of the room, okay? And then he pulls out his whip and he tries to whip Zach like a couple of times. And the whip is just like passing through him like. And man, he is pissed. Sarah sees that, okay? And that's what kind of like wakes her up. And she just like holds her hand out to Zach like, sorry, babe. And Zach takes a second, but he does end up taking her hand. So they go to leave, and the music gets all big, like it's all triumphant and passionate. And then the Marquis says, "Don't look so smug, boy. We shall be meeting again." Zach just like keeps looking at him and then just turns and leaves. Like, I really hope we don't. Sarah's exhausted. All right. They get to the gate where he came in and he shows her that he can like pass his hand in and out. You have to not believe and it can't stop you. Are you ready? Yeah. Come on. Are you ready? And then they both jump through and are immediately taken prisoner by the Waxwork man, Mihai, and Lurch. Right then, James and Gemma show up. They're like walking into the Waxwork?
For real?
Yeah, and James is like, yeah, no, I told you. I got a phone call from a little squeaky-voiced guy, and he said to meet everybody here. So Mihai's been making phone calls. He's been cold calling. Well... And then James and Gemma split up and immediately walk into their own separate displays.
Yeah. They were doing so well.
Yes. They die and immediately become parts of the exhibits. And then that's all of them. It's done. That's 18. Yeah. Okay? Uh-huh. The Waxwork man is like, it's done. Live, my children, live. And all of the wax figures, they start kind of moving a little bit. There's like lightning going around the whole place, you know? So all of these bad, evil figures, they're all coming to life as well as their victims. You know, they're possessed slaves now.
Yeah.
So like Tony Wolf with his red boner. Okay, Vampire China, Zombie James, they're all evil now. And the Marquis comes to life as well. And we just hear throughout the whole Waxwork, whoosh. So we know what's coming. There, you know, the werewolf, the original werewolf. There's Jack the Ripper. There's the Invisible Man. And there's Jonathan, the billy club in a butt. And he's like, "Hurr." There is also a monster cannibal baby. You know, kind of an homage to the babies from It's Alive.
Yeah.
Or Rosemary's Baby, for that matter.
Yeah.
There's Frankenstein and Audrey 2. Remember that? And there's also like Random Alien. There's the Mummy. And there, you know what? There is a really cool looking green slimy witch that was probably one of the coolest things in the whole museum, I thought. Okay. She really reminded me of like Meg Mucklebones from Legend.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
There's Dracula and China, and they get up. Like, they're a couple now. You know, they're new, but they're making it work. It's going fine. Zach and Sarah try to leave. David Warner just yells out, "Run! Ha ha! There's nowhere to run!" And all of these figures, they all start slowly coming to get Zach and Sarah. And then boom! The doors to the Waxwork bust open. And Sir Alfred leads in an army of other old men.
Woo!
Like a secret society.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Dedicated to the protection of the neighborhood from evil. Zach's like, "Sir Wilfrid? He's right, you know. There is nowhere to run." I might add, Sir Wilfrid has his wheelchair decked out.
Oh my God.
With like special wheelchair shield plates. And it is beautiful. If even one of these gets out, the world will be contaminated within a few days. We've got to stop them here before the whole place is brought to the ground. And us with it if we have to. And from behind Sir Wilfrid, we hear a familiar voice. "We're all here and ready, sir." Zach looks up. "Jerkins!" Who the fuck is Jerkins? It's his butler that he's been having sex with.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Jerkins says, "Good evening, sir." Sir Wilfrid says, "Very good." And he pulls out 2 swords. Okay, and he gives them to Zach and Sarah. "Now these belong to your grandfather. Use them wisely." And then he shouts out, and it's one of the coolest lines in the movie. Like, it's actually louder than the rest of the dialogue, so you can tell they went back and put a cool line in. "Let's make sure that these wise asses are dead before we burn them."
Oh, shit.
And then all of the waxworks, the evil figures, okay, they're all lined up, like snarling and growling at all of the old men, okay? And in the middle of them, you can see the Marquis de Sade, and he's like pointing his sword at Zach, and he's like kind of twirling it a little bit, like, "Oh yeah, baby, I'm coming for you." Oh yeah. Sir Wilfrid cries out, "Ho!" And they attack, baby. Cling, cling, clang, clang. He's driving around like... Most of all these guys, they all have melee weapons. You know, a couple of them have guns. But it just becomes a huge riot fight in the middle of this museum.
Yeah.
Sir Alfred is really holding his own. Like, he's knocking people down, baby. He's taking them out. All right. We see an old man confront Jonathan, okay, the jock, and he like punches Jonathan in the face, who takes it, turns back to him, and then punches that old man right back so hard he probably broke his neck. There's another guy who like swipes at the Marquis with an axe. The Marquis just ducks down and stabs him right in the dick. And then the Marquis stands up and flips his long, loose hair out of his face. Like he's not wearing his scarf for some reason. We see Sarah. She's in the middle of all of this action, and she's like a little overwhelmed by all of a sudden violence. Like, what do I do? The Waxwork man, who was so pleased with himself earlier, is now like, I'd better run for my life. And he's like running through the crowd. We see humans' heads being crushed. We see monsters being stabbed and beaten. Die! Die! Jack the Ripper gets a guy on the ground, okay, who screams out like, help! Help! Stab him! Stab him! The only person there to hear it is Sarah. She hesitates, okay, and that meant, you know what? She stabs her sword right into Jack, all the way up to the handle, up his ass.
Ooh,
Go
shit.
Sarah.
Like, I don't know. Zach has lost track of Sarah, and he's now, he's looking for her when he gets tackled by the witch doctor. So they roll around together, for a while, each taking their turn on top. At some point, you guys, somebody saws an old man's head off with a rope.
Oh, God.
It's like, damn.
Hell?
Zach eventually takes out the witch doctor, and we see the Marquis de Sade kill another old man and then flip his long hair out of his face again. And he's like, ugh. And then he jams his sword down into a dead body. And then he pulls out his black scarf and ties it around his head. In the sexiest damn way. And he picks up his sword and keeps killing. Sarah gets attacked by Zombie James, okay? Mm-hmm. And he's like, She just knees him in the balls, knocks him down, and then some old gentleman just bashes his head in with the butt of his rifle. Because that's what gentlemen do. Chaos continues, and David Warner, he has pulled out a revolver, and he's just like randomly firing into the crowd. Randomly killing. China kneels down next to Zach. It's China, okay? And like, it's kind of a quiet moment. It's kind of tender. She's like, up in his face. And she caresses his face really tenderly. Now remember, there is still a big gouge in her face.
Yeah.
Oh, Zach, it's okay. It's okay. And Zach's like, what? He looks at her. He's like, China, what happened? Like, is there still a way we can save this? Shh, I've missed you so much. Wait, what? No, really, Dracula is like a complete asshole. Okay? And all I've been able to think about is you. Okay, seriously. And I think I'm ready to give it another try. And then she leans in and she kisses him softly. And he's like, yes. And then she gets staked from behind. Oh. And as that happens, she opens her mouth and is like, with fangs. And, she's a vampire, so she dies. And we, watching this movie, are like, well, it's got to be Sarah, right? Claiming her territory.
Yeah.
Protecting her man. China falls down dead, and we see behind her, Jerkins! And he's just like, I don't think so, bitch. He grabs Zach and he just like plants one on him. Come on, sir. We've got battles to win. And he just runs off. Elsewhere, Jonathan picks Sarah up and he's just like, kiss me, Sarah. Kiss this. And then she just slams an axe right into his mouth. And she's doing pretty good. Now we got Gemma. Gemma's the one who took Sarah's place in the Marquis de Sade exhibit. Oh. So her character is sex slave Gemma. So she's just wearing a gown and she's like, really sweaty? She finds Zach. Zach, you've always wanted me. Now's your chance, baby. She holds up her own whip and she's like, take me! Take this. And then he holds up a shotgun we never knew he had and just blasts her right in one boob.
Oh, damn.
So it's just like, blarp. Blarp. Like, blarp. Zach turns and he yells, Jerkins, behind you! We see Lurch is coming at Jerkins and stabs him in the chest.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Jerkins kind of like slinks down against some scenery. Zach runs up and kills Lurch with his saber sword. And then he kneels down to Jerkins. And he says this, I'm serious, this is what he says. Jerkins, can I get you some help? It's too late for that, sir. Please, before I go, kiss me. Zach leans in, and then out of the corner of his eye, he sees Sarah just like watching. And then he turns to Jerkins and he's like, no way, Jerkins, jeez.
Oh, shit.
It's okay, though. Jerkins understands. And he just says to him, get those bastards. Goodbye, Jerkins.
Oh.
And then Zach stands up like a badass with his sword. And he just starts mowing the lawn, baby. In the middle of all the chaos, we see the zombie hand like crawling around on the floor. It's been freed from the fence somehow. All right. One of the coolest things in any movie ever. There is Dracula. He's a little salty. Okay. He is now being cornered by a whole bunch of old men with swords and stakes and stuff. Okay. And he's like looking at him. And then he holds up his cape in front of his face, and you would start to hear like bat noises, like, and they're like, he's about to turn. Get him. And he turns into a bat and just starts flying. Immediately gets caught by one of these guys.
Damn right.
Who then holds up a revolver and points it right point blank into this little bat's face.
Oh, shit.
That's right.
Once the gun is there, you just hear, make my day. And then boom, he blows the bat's head off. Sarah finds Mihai, who is actually beating the shit out of some old man. Like, bing, 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 bing. And she's like, you little bastard. And he turns his head up and he just goes, eh? And it's just like, don't kill him. Take him home. He can be rehabilitated. She picks him up. Right next to them is Audrey, too, who goes like, feed me.
Oh, shit.
And she drops him right into the killer plant.
Oh.
Sir Wilfrid is getting attacked by Tony Wolf. All right. Zach sees that, runs in, and just stabs the Tony Wolf with his sword. As soon as that sword enters his body, his red boner comes.
Oh my God.
And then he falls down and dies. He's a werewolf, right? So Zach holds up the sword to Sir Wilfrid and he goes, ha ha, silver.
Oh,
Nice.
There's also some guys like randomly pouring gasoline all over the building. Okay? Now across the field of battle, the Marquis de Sade and Zach lock eyes.
Damn.
And the Marquis is like, yes. And the Marquis actually salutes him with his sword and then comes for him. At the very last second, before they're about to clash swords, the Marquis gets like thrown out of the way by some random guy in a fight. Zach takes this opportunity to run into the back room of the waxwork, with the big boiling pot.
Yeah.
The Marquis finally gets up and he looks and sees that Zach is gone and he's like, damn. Now the gasoline is lit and stuff starts burning and blowing up. There's columns falling. People are like, fire, fire. Everybody's running and screaming and dying. In the back room, okay, Zach, he comes in the door and then he immediately hides beside it. So anyone walking in the door can't see him, but anybody already in the room can see exactly what he's doing. Okay, somebody already in the room is the Waxwork man, David Warner, who's like, And there's Zach just like waiting at the door, waiting to ambush the Marquis. And David Warner's just like, But instead of, screwing with him, he climbs a ladder and sneaks up onto a catwalk, like in the rafters, okay, to just watch. So we see Zach, and then a sword enters the frame, and the Marquis de Sade walks into the back room, right past Zach, who waits until the Marquis turns around and sees him to attack.
Oh, jeez.
And it's like, ting, 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 ting. They're fighting, baby. The Marquis actually almost immediately takes Zach's sword away from him. Like, the Marquis knows how to do this. And he's got his own sword pointing right into, he's got the point right in Zach's neck. Like, ow. Now we shall see who is the real man. And he tosses his sword back to him.
Oh.
Welcome to the School of Hard Cocks.
So now they're dueling on the stairs. Ting, 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 ting. The Marquis is in complete control, and he is loving it. Like, he's got, like, this wonderful big smile on his face. He's just toying with him, okay? He, like, knees Zach in the balls and actually takes his sword again. And returns it again. He is having a great time. Boy. So they continue, and Zach, he ends up shoving the Marquis. He shoves him. Okay. And, he falls through a balcony thing and then, hits the ground, and he's next to the boiling cauldron of wax. Okay. He's like, he's got him. So then Zach comes at him, and the Marquis is able to trade places with him. He gets Zach on the ground, and he's standing up. He's got his sword. He just steps on Zach's sword, and now he's got him. Okay, it's time to go ahead and put him out of his misery. The Marquis de Sade actually looks up at the Waxwork man who's been watching this whole thing. The Waxwork man, David Warner, just like puts his thumb out and then gives a big imperial thumbs down. And he says, "Kill the wimp." The Marquis just points his sword at him and says, "School time's over. And now you die." And then, boom, boom, boom. There's an axe in the Marquis's back.
Oh.
And he's like, oh, and he turns around to find Sarah staring back at him. And he's like, "But babe." And then he just falls and dies. He falls and dies right next to Zach. He like slinks down sitting next to him. And I'll tell you what, J. Kenneth Campbell, his death face for the Marquis de Sade, applaudable.
Damn.
Like J. Kenneth Campbell was like, well, if I'm a wax figure, maybe when I die, I should freeze in time.
Yeah.
So the Marquis just dies with this like big wide-eyed look on his face. Like he doesn't close his eyes and die.
Yeah.
Zach and Sarah run to each other, they embrace, and then from above, how romantic. They look up and they're looking at the Waxwork man. Up from the rafters, he grabs a hidden gun that he's got there, okay? This gun is the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. I don't know if it's a real gun or not, but I don't think so. It actually looks a lot like a Nintendo Zapper. Zach's like, "One more thing before you kill us, Warner. You know my name." "I should. You killed my grandfather." "Well, your grandfather raped my father."
Fucking seriously. He's been the hero the whole time.
Yeah. "You're a Frigmore." "Such a small world." "Well, then why do you want to end it?" And then the Waxwork man just says, "Somebody has to."
Oh.
"See you in hell."
Damn.
And then boom, he gets shot in the neck. Okay. Oh. He gets shot in the neck by Sir Wilfrid, who has just wheeled into the door. Now, Warner, he stands there like he got shot in the neck. Okay. He's got a little while before anything happens to him. And he's just like kind of staggering around and accidentally emptying his gun all over the room.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Zach and Sarah have to dodge that shit. Pew, pong. Pew, pew. It's all happening in slow motion. And eventually he falls over the railing and then into the cauldron of boiling wax.
Oh.
And it's like, yeah. And Zach, he turns to Sir Wilfrid. He's like, thanks. Hey, Sarah, are you okay? And then the waxwork man busts up out of the wax and he grabs Zach. And his face is all melting. And he just like blurps out, would you like a closer look?
Oh, God.
And it's like, oh. And then he just sinks back in and dies. The flames are now, they're in this room now, okay? And they're starting to envelop Sir Wilfrid, who's in his wheelchair. Remember that?
Yeah.
They're like, watch out, the flames! Don't worry about me! Save yourselves! Behind him, in busts the masturbating werewolf. Who, with his one free hand, grabs Sir Wilfrid's head and starts pulling it. Okay? Sir Wilfrid, at the very last moment, just yells out, oh my goodness! And then his head gets ripped off. And his last words in response to it were, oh my goodness.
Fucking seriously.
The place goes up in flames. Zach and Sarah escape out the back door, okay? Everyone else inside who was still alive is dead. Including the now evil Inspector McCawn, who, when he came to life, was trapped in a stone sarcophagus. Okay, with just his hands sticking out like, hey, you guys, come on, I can fight. Outside, Zach and Sarah, they're like holding each other while they watch the waxwork burn. And we hear the Marquis theme one final time. And then, you know what? Let's get out of here. They just leave, okay? But we stay. And we close in on some, a little pile of burning rubble. And we hear some squeaking. And a little bit of movement in this pile, okay? And then out crawls the zombie hand. And it's like, dun, 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 dun. And it crawls and escapes across the front lawn of the waxwork.
Oh.
And then, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we see the melting title card, Waxwork. Oof. And then the credits roll, baby. Bum, bum, it's my party, and I'll cry if I want to.
That's right.
Cry if I want to.
Oh, man.
God, I love this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, Ron.
Thank you.
You outdid yourself.
All right. Yep, there you have it. Waxwork on Movies with Ron.
Yeah. Sarah's like, can we get a riding crop on our way home?
Do you know where the riding crop store is? Now, I also watched Waxwork 2, which picks up immediately. Like, actually what they did was they walked off screen and got into a cab. And then they drove away. And the cabbie's like, oh man, some fire back there. Yep.
I was going to ask you to sneak preview Waxwork 2, but it really does pick up right where it ended.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With that hand, right?
Yes. The hand actually ended up getting into the cab with him. And it rode her dress up to her apartment and killed her stepfather, who played one of the old bums in They Live. The one who they ran into later in a tuxedo. Hey, we all work for the aliens.
Oh, yeah.
And the big bad guy of this movie, Waxwork 2, the cover of the movie is a little deceptive because it's got the bad guy's face on it. And I see the face and I'm like, oh yeah, David Warner, he's the bad guy. But it's not David Warner. It's the blonde terrorist from Die Hard.
Oh.
You know what we really could have used in the big group of old men? The history teacher. Yes! Fucking seriously, he could have showed up and been like, you've got an A! You know?
And now we will eradicate them all! Hope you guys enjoyed it out there in podcast land.
All right, folks. If you're using that Apple Podcasts or iTunes, leave us a rating and review. We'd really appreciate it. We got Twitter @MoviesWithRon. There's a Facebook page. We're on all your other favorite podcast apps and movieswithron.com. It's been fun.
See you guys.
Yep, we love you.
Movies with Ron.
She do the boogie. She do the tube steak boogie.
That was about sex? Tube steak boogie? Man, it's so pornographic.
Yeah, man. You gonna suck it?
The cheesesteak boogie.
Yeah. It's about my cock. A big meaty steak cock.
Here comes the gravy.
But you're gonna have to work for it.